Oh yeah, that was part of it. You gotta go like this.
That's
You actually already cracked it, so you're gonna have to just fake the sound. All right, 3, 2, 1.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Okay, so welcome to the first ever Tenet podcast.
Here we are.
Do you have a working name for this?
Do I know that you do?
Yeah, have I told you it?
No, you have not told me it.
Okay, it's called the Dead Sailor Podcast. Do you think that's good?
I think I like that.
Is that a bad name?
No.
Do you know what a dead sailor is on a BMX bike?
I think it could be good. Yeah.
It's where you go, oh, you get locked up. And
Is that why I'm the first guest on this show?
Well, I think we're both going to lock up. So there's you have this camera, so if you ever want to speak to the viewer, you got that one. I have this one, and then this one is recording us both.
Do you know what we need
right now? What's that?
Future iteration monitors, so you can stare at yourself. I'm pretty sure that I've got a voice for radio.
I could do a really good radio voice. Ready? And welcome back to the Tenet Podcast.
So
I'm your
Midwest.
host, Tyler Deschaine. Is that pretty good?
Let me try mine now. It's Wednesday, October 5th. I'm Blake Hansen, and this is the Dead Sailor Podcast.
That's great. that you always default to the
daily.
The daily.
Yeah, that's my thing. I've been doing a lot lately, for some reason, at home.
Also, do you like our coasters? Shameless plug to our friend Paris Gore. I don't know if he has these on his web store, but you can get some really cool Paris Gore
Looks cheap.
coasters. Yeah.
Just kidding, Paris.
Thank you for coming on to this and being my guinea pig.
We're guinea pigging. We're testing.
Yeah, we're gonna really dust off some cobwebs. Actually, I don't even have. There's no cobwebs. This is just pure. I have no idea what I'm doing, so we're gonna wade through the shit right now.
Fun.
So how you doing, Blake?
Good.
Nice.
I'm doing really nice.
Yeah, you just came off of Hangtime.
Yep. I was here for Hangtime. It was a good time.
Well, you've been here for a while.
I've been here for a while. That was what I was about to say. I was like, what am I saying right now?
Yeah.
I've been here for a while. Like 6 weeks.
Nice. And
Chilling.
I don't know if the world knows, but looks like you're moving here.
I'm a new resident. I'm a new incoming resident of the Ham.
Yeah.
Couple months out.
You're leaving next week, and then you're back.
I leave this week. End of this week.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and also, I don't know if Lou told you, we're having dinner together tomorrow.
She did tell me that.
Okay, cool.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. We can review this tomorrow.
It's going to be really nice for us.
So you're going home, well, old home, to essentially finish out the year. Rampage? Are you going to Rampage?
Finishing out the year. Got a bunch of stuff on the docket still that I need to figure out. And then selling my life, because I've lived in Salt Lake for 10 years. 11 years, actually, this year.
Damn.
And I got some shit.
Yeah.
So if you're in Salt Lake and you got a bunch of stuff that you want gear-wise, come over. You can probably have it for free.
What are we talking about?
It's gotta go. We got snowboards. We got bike parts. We got motorcycle parts. Hella motorcycle parts. We got shop tools. We got desks. We got...
So the whole spectrum. That's everything.
You name it. I've probably got it. Because
Nice.
It's been a long time.
Cool.
I got stuff to get rid of.
Well, hopefully we can find a home for all that stuff.
Yeah.
Is it going to fund your way to get to Bellingham?
That would be ideal, although I just don't really feel like bringing it. So if I got $0, I'd probably still getting rid of stuff anyway.
Yeah. I've gotten to that point in my life where I hold on to things that I probably don't really need, or that I think I need, that I really cherish for whatever reason, or from one reason or another.
You and I are the same.
Yeah. And then I think to myself, oh, this is worth money. And then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to hold on to this. And then, oh, I'll sell that. And then when I go to sell it, nobody wants it.
Or it's been too long and
It's
it
been way
was
too
worth
long.
money, but
Yeah.
you were still holding on to it because you're a weirdo.
Yes.
And then you just have shit that isn't worth anything.
I just got rid of probably one of the weirdest things. Oh, well, maybe in some circles it'd be weird. But I just got rid of a axle for an F350.
The axle that's been in your garage.
I've had that. So I had, for the people who don't know, and maybe you do remember this, Tenet used to have a ambulance, or I had an ambulance.
That was what that was from?
Yeah, I was going to 4x4 an ambulance. It was my dream to have a 4x4 ambulance. And then, yeah, life changes, and I just don't really need a 4x4 ambulance anymore. So anyways, I held on to, and I still have a transfer case and a transmission in my garage to do this 4x4 conversion that I also still have to get rid of. But I had carted that between 3 different houses. The intention was to do a 4x4 swap in my van. Never did it. Sold the van. Now I've got all these parts.
Pseudo Quigley Deschaine, we'll call it.
Yeah.
This one's a Deschaine.
Yes. So I assume your motorcycle part collection is probably similar.
Yeah.
Projects that either came to fruition and
Projects
were
of
long gone.
both ends. So like lots of stock parts, but then also cool things that I collected over time that just never really made it on bikes to get sold.
Yeah. I always wanted to be a motorcycle, I don't know, what do you call it? I guess cafe builder. I bought a CB 750 one time.
Me too.
With the intention to cafe it, chop the tail and everything. It ran on 3 cylinders. I could never figure out how to, carburetors are hard to work on.
Yeah, they are, especially those ones.
Yeah.
Well, some people would argue against that, but
Because I think there's like 2 carburetors in that motor, and so you got to get them synced perfectly, or else it.
carb sync.
Yeah, you got to buy tools for that. Anyways, already we're just kind of rambling.
This is what people do on podcasts.
These are my
and then
favorite
you're there
kind
and
of
you
podcasts.
like think that you're like every single podcast guest that's sitting in a booth is like, wow, he just talked about a bunch of bullshit, but like everyone that's listening is kind of into it because they're just like interested.
Well, it's either relatable. It's more relatable.
Yeah,
right?
or they're just learning random things that they didn't think they'd be learning when they clicked play.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's the point. See, the goal with this podcast is so that, myself and the people that are involved with the company, whether they're an athlete or a business partner or a friend in the industry or something.
Industry peeps.
Yeah, they can come on here and we can just, everyone get to know each other, and people that maybe appreciate the company can learn a little bit about who we are and what we're doing. So
yeah, just a way to get the name out a little bit and
it's
talk
another
to
platform.
people. I like that.
And it's trendy and popular.
People are into podcasts.
Yeah. So let's go back to Hangtime.
Yeah.
Personally, I think that is a fucking awesome event. There's way more athletes this year than there were last year. Oh, did you just break the headphones?
Sorry, no. I just had to adjust it.
And Hannah told me, I don't know, she just kind of like threw a random number. I asked her, I was like, Hannah, what's the average age of the athletes that are here this year? And she was like, yeah, everyone's like maybe like 17.
I think we did the numbers and the average was like 21.
Wow.
But there was like a 12-year-old, a 13-year-old, a couple of 14-year-olds, and then a handful of 15-year-olds, and then a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And then like maybe even 1 or 2 more. And then like a handful of 20, 21-year-olds. And then a few of us geezies speckled in on the top range.
Were you the oldest person riding? I don't want to put you on blast. But
I don't think that I was, but definitely up there.
yeah.
Yeah. It was cool though. I mean, we're always talking about it, but bikes, generally speaking, are cool because you just like find yourself surrounded by such interesting people that you wouldn't otherwise be spending time with. I'm sure you can relate.
Yeah.
It's just like unanimous across the entire industry once you're into like the bikes. And I'm sure this applies to other things too. But like you just learn about all kinds of interesting people and you find yourself friends with like 12-year-olds and you're friends with like 60-year-olds just the same.
Yeah.
And you're talking to them randomly here and there and then you develop relations with them and then you see them later and you're like, oh my gosh, hi.
Yeah.
I just find like my bank of people that I'm close with is so diverse.
Yeah.
Now.
I mean, it's hard to walk away from an event like that. Like, it's fully bonding. You can just tell that everybody is just there to get to know each other and to like progress mountain biking, like women's free ride. And so you can just, it's impossible not to bond with the other people there.
For sure.
And so like I could just see how it's just forming like the next wave of just athletes who are going to be tight, right? Like you guys are going to be able to go to a bunch of different events and familiar faces, and it's so not competitive, which is exactly what it should be. Mm-hmm. All of mountain biking should be that way. I've never really been a competitive person. I came from BMX.
Yeah.
You too,
it's
right?
It's pretty collaborative, for sure.
Yeah.
I came from BMX racing as a kid, so
yeah,
not so
that's
much,
competitive. Yeah.
I mean, I was thinking about this unrelated to this today. Not that I want to change the subject, because this is a really interesting topic, I think, generally speaking. But being an athlete, like a bike athlete, is so interesting, particularly because like everyone grew up riding bikes as a kid. And so half the time I'm like, I just didn't grow up. I'm just still doing it. And now I just like have found a way to like be an adult and still do it, which to me is like, well, it's two things. It's weird because you think you should be like something important and professional, like a doctor or a lawyer or whatever else people want you to be, but you're not. So that's weird. Yeah. But at the same time, it's you are exactly who you want to be.
Yeah.
And in a way that's weird compared to other sports, even like a person that you've always been. Because we were all just a bunch of little weirdos.
Yeah.
Children riding around in the neighborhood together when your parents didn't want you to be inside the house.
It's true. I mean,
just something I've been thinking about lately.
Yeah. It's weird to think about even my like path into just the world of the bike industry or just the world of mountain biking and stuff. Because I myself only cared about riding BMX bikes for like more than half of my life. And I didn't even start riding mountain bikes until, it was probably like 2012, 2013.
Yeah, pretty recent.
Yeah. But again, the whole like reason that I'm here is just because I like riding around on a bike, just a bike, right? Yeah. And if tomorrow, for some reason, I was unable to like pedal a bike for some reason, I'd figure out a way to just move on wheels, whether it's like a motor that gets me going or, I don't know. Like, I feel like I'll probably always play on wheels just because that's just what I know.
Yeah.
Right.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I feel the same way. I've always been drawn to it, and it's shifted around so much, like motorcycles, quads, cars, like all kinds of things. But it like, for the most part, it's always been variations of two wheels that have been like the most intriguing and interesting and like engaging to me. And I guess like I've gone through all forms of them.
Yeah. So you've been talking a lot lately about getting a Moto again, which is something that I've been interested in too. But what makes me reluctant to dive into the world of Moto is mostly being a noob again. It's kind of scary. Like, what's your background with motos? You raced, right?
Loosely raced, did a lot of racing at the track, but my background with the racing specifically is interesting because I come from a tennis family. Like, tennis was very big in my family and pushed, and I stopped playing when I was like 12 or 13 and then started to pursue other things like action sports. And aside from the tennis, we were like a big motorcycle desert dune buggy family. Like, that's what we did when like my brother wasn't going to tournaments all over the state and the country.
Which is a really interesting combination.
Super interesting, but like my family, my extended family is all like motorcycle and quad racers. Like a lot, well, not all of them, but like a lot of them. And so like that's a central part of my dad's side of the family. Is everyone out there in California is like big in the desert scene and motorcycles, and everyone's got their razors and their dune buggies and stuff. So that's like what we would do with our greater extended family. Like the weekends we would go to the dunes and we'd go out to the desert and ride and race around and stuff. And I also grew up in Temecula, California. It's just like the motocross central of the States in a way.
I do. There's
and
like a big
Florida.
There's like a big free ride moto scene there, right?
Yeah, huge free ride in Temecula specifically. But just like the SoCal, generally speaking, Temecula, Lake Elsinore is like very big, like winter moto world. Like all the supercross racers and motocross racers go there to train in the winter. There or Florida. Those are the two like spots where you'll see pretty much anyone who's anyone in that world. So I grew up like going and riding and racing at those tracks. But I never got to really like do a series or like do anything with it because I grew up pretty LDS and my dad didn't really want to go to the races every Sunday. Like he was like put a priority on going to church. But then my brother still got to go to tennis matches all the time on Sunday. So we got drum. Anyway, it was a passion of mine and I did it a lot casually, but I never got to like pursue it per se because it wasn't really supported in my family. And it's one of those sports that takes a lot of money. Yeah. So I tell people I race, even though I didn't actually like follow a series. Yeah. I casually raced.
So moving to the Pacific Northwest and getting a moto again, are you interested in, because Bellingham has a really janky supercross
Moto
track.
I saw.
You've seen it?
I looked it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do like races and stuff there, but there's also most people I think that live here
Everyone
are
rides
into
woods.
trail riding. Is that something is that the path you want to get into?
My history with the MX is I grew up as a track kid and a desert kid, which was just taking track bikes out into the open world to do free ride stuff. Mm-hmm. And that's mostly my history. I wasn't ever like, there was trails in SoCal, but mostly it was like either open desert, really fast stuff, or the track. And so most of my experience is doing those two things.
Fifth gear pin, just
yeah, sand dunes, fifth gear pin. But I think coming out here, before I get into coming out here, I think a lot of what I was doing before I was riding mountain bikes was dirt bikes and a lot of track riding, mostly track riding and some random trail riding on my track bike. But I came out in like 2016 and my friends slowly lost my community of like people that I would race and ride at the track with. So like it kind of lost its steam, and that whole industry, if you're a follower of Moto, isn't necessarily inclusive either. So it was just generally speaking, like
I get that vibe.
Yeah, I grew out of the whole thing, being very like track and more, I guess.
That was not a fart back.
Tyler. He just farted.
Yeah. So actually, I have a question about that. Do you follow motocross at all these days?
I had to unfollow most people, but I'm slowly coming back to the idea of getting back into it for my own reasons. Yeah. And so I've slowly started following more.
On the topic of inclusivity in moto. I'm just wondering because mountain biking has also not been the most inclusive sport of all time. And it's come around a lot, but like, is that happening in moto? I don't follow moto, so I don't really know.
I haven't been following enough, so I can't entirely say, but it doesn't seem like it. Yeah. Certainly not as much as mountain biking. Yeah. So I'm not about to like get involved in any of that. I just want to get a dirt bike because I love dirt bikes. Yeah. But hopefully, I don't know, it would be cool if it did. And it's one of those sports that's even less accessible than mountain biking, not in terms of like cost to do it, because I would say the two are pretty relatable in terms of that. But
I mean, the investment to get a bike, like to get the gear. Yeah, the gear investment is similar,
but then you have to be invested with like the truck.
Yeah, you got to get a lift kit on your truck.
You got to have mandatory black rims.
Yeah, you got to have a whole plethora of flat-bill brimmed hats. Shit, I'm gonna get beat up by a bunch of moto people.
Assholes. I think generally speaking, it's less accessible because of the machinery and stuff, and all that stuff is like much more intimidating than getting on a pedal bike, which to some variation everyone has done since they were a child. So I think there's more, what's the wording? Gaps. What's the wording? Like where it's harder to get into?
Barriers.
Barriers to entry. Yes, yeah. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Then in mountain biking. So it kind of makes sense that it would be less inclusive, but I don't know. They could definitely do more than they do.
It's also harder. Well, depending on where you live, it's also really hard to do that activity.
I found that one of my favorite parts about after I had this whole falling out with it because of all those other reasons, and decided to sell my dirt bike and buy a mountain bike, was how much easier it was to do it just period. Mm-hmm. Like I could pedal out the door. I could get to the trailhead by my house in 10 minutes and get an entire ride done in an hour, mm-hmm. and then throw the bike back in and be back at home.
Yeah, do other shit that you have going on.
Like before work even started if you wanted, which is sick. A dirt bike is a whole thing. Yeah.
All of my friends who ride Moto, it is like a whole weekend. It's like a weekend.
It's a bit of an
thing.
Extravaganza.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I love dirt bikes and motorcycles generally speaking, and motors, and so I've been hyped to get back into it out here because it's a new thing for me too. Like I've never really ridden trails too much. I rode trails on a big old race 450, which mm-hmm. is just weird and scary and sketchy. Mm-hmm. And so I'm pretty new to like riding trails on a dirt bike.
Do you already know what you're getting?
I think I'm gonna get a KTM 150.
Nice. 2-stroke?
Yeah, I'm going to get back into the 2-strokes, and just kind of like the 2-strokes are the thing that I have the least experience in growing up. And I don't ride the woods either. So I'm just like, let's just get into it in a fully different regard and try it from a wholly different place with a wholly different kind of bike.
Yeah.
And out here, everyone rides, not just bras who don't like gay people.
Right.
So I feel like it's much more inviting of me to get back into this thing that I've always loved, which is why I've been talking more about dirt bikes lately.
And what's funny is that majority of the people in Bellingham not majority, I would say, but I would say a lot of the people within, my friend circle and, partially your friend circle.
Our friend circle.
Ride Moto. Also, they're mountain bikers, but they also ride Moto, and they are in that same mentality of inclusivity and
they're just not jerks.
Yeah.
That's absolutely. Such a rude generalization. I don't mean to call Moto people jerks.
No, we're
just
we're
in
talking,
my experience, I had a hard
homophobes are jerks.
Homophobes are jerks, and in my experience, a lot of that scene was homophobic. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm excited about it. I want to get a bike that has a license plate on it, so I can ride it around the street and then hit the trails and then go home. Do
they make a street legal 150? Can you get it? Oh, sick.
A couple of different brands. A few different brands do.
That's cool.
Yeah, small bores for life. Now, I bet. Asterisk on I bet. Who's to say?
I mean, you can also plate any motorcycle, I think.
Yeah, it just
as long
has
as
to
you
have
have a tail light and a headlight.
Yeah, it just has to have some stuff.
Which you could probably just strap a headlamp, like a headlamp to the front and be like,
I had this friend growing up, Roman. He's one of my best friends, and we would go to his house because I lived in this gated community where I was from, and he lived down the road in an ungated community, so it was a lot easier to like be hoodlums without the cops getting called as quickly as in the place that I lived.
Because the cops were stuck outside the gate?
Yeah, they were stuck in the gate. No, opposite way. He lived in the ungated community where people didn't care as much. Yeah. There was less snooties to call the cops. So we'd go to his house and we would strap like those big like D-cell mag lights, the big boys, onto the front fender and just rip the 450s around in the streets with no taillight, just the headlight, just simply to make it seem like you probably are street legal, and then just wreak havoc at like midnight in the neighborhoods on these blasting dirt bikes.
I did the same thing, but with my BMX bike as a kid.
Why?
I would just because I would like to see. The reason I really got into BMX bikes initially was because, well, first of all, before I knew what riding BMX was, I was just pretending that my bike was a dirt bike.
Nice.
Because I came from a lower middle class family, in Michigan. Mom worked a lot, dad worked a lot, mom worked nights, dad worked factory
Gotcha.
job. But so I used to always bug my mom about getting a Moto, and she'd always be like, "Well, save your money up." And BMX bikes were a lot cheaper, a lot easier to get. So, anyways, would strap, tape the flashlight to the bar and pretend it was a dirt bike. It was like
nice.
we're talking, I'm like 10 years old.
A little kid.
But then, after I discovered BMX riding, I moved on. I grew up from that.
Nice.
and then I thought, you know what, dirt bikes are cool, but BMX bikes are cooler, in my opinion.
Kinda.
Yeah.
At least you're more committed to the core.
Yeah.
Actually, mountain bike or dirt bikers are too, probably.
Yeah. No matter what you're into, you're probably committed to whatever the core is.
The core, whatever the core is.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. You got a whole crew of people you get to play on motos and stuff with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hypothetically excited to get involved.
Yeah. So you've been here for the past, month and a half, since Crankworks, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much. Couple months.
You haven't experienced the cold depths of winter, but you snowboard.
Mm-hmm.
Are you excited about snowboarding in Washington?
I hear that Baker is snowboarder's paradise.
It is.
So that's kind of exciting.
Did you hear that from people here, or did you hear that from
I don't
just
know.
growing up?
As a snowboarder growing up, you're always watching cool videos of Baker.
Yeah.
So I kind of knew it just from growing up.
Are you familiar with the Glacier Ice Chest?
No.
It's in every magazine and snowboard video filmed in Baker from the 90s all the way till now.
What is
much.
the Glacier Ice Chest?
There's a Graham's is like a little grocery store in Glacier, and then right outside there's this frozen ice chest that's just where they keep bags of ice. I think it's an ice chest. I'm pretty sure it is. But it's covered in snowboarding stickers, probably layers of snowboarding stickers over decades of snowboarding, and it's pretty legendary.
Nice.
It's really sick. You got to stop it. The first time I ever came to Baker, after I moved to Washington, we stopped at Graham's because they make bagels with cream cheese and smoked salmon, and you can get all these really delicious bagels on your way up to the mountain. But we stopped there, and I remember being like, "Holy shit, that's the fucking ice chest from
I guess
from
I never
all
paid
the
attention
videos."
enough to see it
Yeah.
consistently in the
If you
videos.
see it, you might.
I'll
you
probably
might
recognize
recognize it.
it,
You'd be like,
yeah.
"Whoa, actually, I do know what you're talking about."
Yeah. This is in Glacier?
It is in
Graham's
Glacier.
in Glacier.
Yeah.
Got it. Is Graham's that place that's outdoor, indoor? You order outside?
No, there's
not
two
nice.
sides
We
of
went there the other
Graham's.
day.
On one side's a bar restaurant, and the other side's a grocery store.
Yeah, we did not go to Graham's.
Sorry, I'm burping and
Yeah, we're
stinky.
maybe as a test
Maybe
for
maybe
podcasting, cut the
carbonated
bubs.
drinks.
Yeah.
Carbonated drinks are not the right drink.
Maybe the podcaster's drink is a nice glass of red. A blend, if you will.
I am not a wine drinker, though.
I know, that's why I
really
got some
dislike
beer for
wine.
you tomorrow at dinner.
Oh, thank you. Did Lou tell you to do that?
No, I just told me to do that.
It's smart. Yeah. I don't really like it. I don't know why. I like cocktails and beer. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Like that for you.
I'm a big margarita fan.
Maybe margs are the
Spicy
move.
margarita.
Maybe the dead sailor needs to have a marg
Margaritas?
every single time.
That sounds dangerous.
Yeah, for
It'd
you.
be a hard time. I have an e-bike. I could probably ride my e-bike home.
I think just preliminarily, I would be excited for you to have me as a host for someone else sometime.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Or a three-way podcast.
Well, I think long term, the three-way podcast, that's why I want to place a microphone back here,
That'd
too.
be sick.
And then, I want to have a third person at some point. But I think long term, I don't know if I want to be sitting here in this seat the entire time.
Yeah.
And I think you're really good at bullshitting with people.
I love to bullshit.
Yeah. And you can ask really good questions and give really good insight that I don't know that I can do very well.
Tag teaming. Maybe we're going to be tag teaming this. Maybe the first iteration people are watching is the hosts learning that they are the co-hosts of this pod.
Well, I think some of my favorite podcasts actually have more than just two people.
Totally.
You know, I think it just gives better banter.
Three people.
Three people is
fun.
key. It's
Yeah.
key. Because then there's never any, if you want to just like fade into the background a little bit and like be like, okay, you guys
Listen
talk
for
a
a
little
bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can do that. Where this, you're just got to be in it. You know?
I like that.
Yeah.
These are meant for pods, eh?
Yeah, it's a pod mic.
Rode pod mic. Shouts to Rode.
Yeah. I bought them used.
Oh, yeah?
So they probably have COVID on them.
They look pretty new, though.
No, I think they're like returns that they. Nice. One was like an Amazon return or whatever, and then the other one was from whatever the camera store. I forget the name of it, but nice. Yeah, this was a kind of a significant investment. Luckily, I had the cameras already, but I bought the switchboard thing. Oh, you want to see something really cool? Watch this.
Yeah, your Zoom. So good. You need to put that probably under the table by you so you can be doing that. The people agree.
There's a shitload of sounds that you can customize those buttons.
Yeah, I'm sure
too.
you can probably program all kinds of shit in there.
So
Nice.
as this podcast grows, I'm gonna start sound biting
Yeah.
whatever funny stuff and put them on there. I wanted to get a bigger one of those like huge soundboards that has like 50 buttons that you could like program. You know.
I think we need a mini one. Just like
Yeah. No, I know. I really do need to move that thing over here, but
that'd be sweet.
I just wanted it to be kind of clean. We're figuring it out.
Figuring it out, guys.
Yeah. The problem with that is that there's so many cables coming off of it, and I just don't want a lot of cables here. Maybe if it's like down here or something, then like
Yeah,
low.
yeah.
Or something. I don't know. But anyways.
Anyways.
Cool.
That was one big caveat. We were talking about Hangtime.
Oh, yeah. Do we want to go back to
I
that?
kind of want to go back to that.
Okay.
Because we were on a good tangent.
Yeah.
But then we tangented a few thousand more times.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I mean that's
No.
that's the problem with an unstructured podcast, is I'm not going to cut you off, and I also don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So.
And I'm not going to cut you off. But let's go back to Hangtime,
Okay,
because I'm interested in where we're going. And where we were was the collaborative environment of bonding with people.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's a whole discussion about that
Sure.
is like, I've talked about this from time to time, but I've only ever been on like 2 podcasts. So like most of it is only to my friends and people around me.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of what's cool and interesting about all of these like events that aren't contests is everything that happens behind the scenes that you don't see in pictures. Like, sure, there's tricks and we're learning a lot from each other in the riding regard, which is so sick. But also we're learning about each other and we're learning from each other, and you're creating friendships that you wouldn't otherwise have the chance to like create and do face to face. And those things inevitably, in my experience, even in the last like few years, have turned into like projects and other cool, interesting things and successes, I guess you could say, that have just come from being invited to come spend time, which is so cool. And people don't talk about that stuff enough. So I think that that's really interesting, and have learned a lot of interesting and cool things. And a lot of my, I guess, career successes have come from things I've learned at events from other people just hanging out and chatting, shooting the shit, and learning, oh, I can do that differently, and then success coming from those learnings. So
yeah. Do you
a lot
think
there.
so? Hangtime, I feel like, is unique in that capacity. I can't think of any other event that is mostly centered around like the athletes bonding and getting to know each other. Like I feel like that is like maybe one of the more, and like that's the most, I don't want to speak for Hannah, but I feel like she's really prioritized the friendship bonding aspect of her event over maybe, and again, I don't really know, I haven't been to Dark Horse and I don't really know Casey very well, but you know, it feels like Casey's event is more about the media and creating, like, sort of like getting the footage and the photos and stuff like that.
I do think it's cool that they're different, and I've also not been to Dark Horse, so I don't know what they talk about or what their priority is, but it does seem too like the priority is getting those names out and getting them media and giving them time to learn from Casey and others that she invites. Hannah's there, so like they have a lot to give. And I mean, that's cool. That's
so
that's doing stuff.
One question is, you've been to Formation. How does Formation compare to Hangtime as far as just overall atmosphere and vibe? Are they similar?
You do get a lot of Hangtime at Formation just because it's like a week. It's a whole week and you're basically living together. So you get plenty of the same stuff that I think Hangtime gives too. But then I think that the crucial difference obviously with the two is like Formation is exposing you specifically to that desert terrain, which is like so unique. You're never going to find that anywhere else. And so it's kind of niche. Whereas Hangtime is jumps, and those are going to be a little more unanimous. You're going to find those in different places. And so I think that both have different priorities and you get different things from each. But I think too, like Formation is putting a priority on accelerating the cream of the crop, the biggest names in women's freeride, and giving them a place to show that this is viable. This is like something that could be good for the entire industry, but especially is something that we are all capable of. Whereas Hangtime, I think, is like maybe the step, I don't want to say down, but Hannah puts a lot more priority on getting people that aren't at the top a place and an avenue to show that they're capable of being that. And then she's obviously not that Formation isn't, because I think they both are doing a really good job at being inclusive and looking at it from like a wide-eyed view of like, how can we not only support and help the people who are wanting to come up in this come up, but how can we do it in a way that is giving the widest range of people the most opportunity possible? So,
right.
Yeah.
And I think also, you know, to sort of stress a point that you made was jumps are everywhere. And, you know, I would say that Formation puts you into that element is like, there's one place that you can go really to expose yourself to that kind of terrain, and that's Utah. And if, you know, whereas like, you know, you had people from the East Coast, you had people from all over the place. Jumps, you can build a jump line anywhere. And I think that the barrier of entry, right? Like I feel like jumps are a lower barrier of entry as opposed to like exposed free live rides.
For sure.
So
yeah, I mean, it's like I'll use myself as an example because I can speak for myself way better than anyone else. Like I haven't been a Formation caliber athlete yet, though that's my goal and what I've been really focusing on making happen this year. But I think the last couple of years of being at Hangtime has definitely given me tools that I wouldn't have previously had in order to prepare to be that caliber of athlete. So I don't know if Hannah likes this wording, but to me it does feel like stepping stones. Like she's building steps at a different place in the, what do we call us? The movement, the freeride movement.
You can call it that.
I'll just call it that.
Yeah.
You guys can all decide what you wanted to call it later.
Comment below.
Like, comment, and subscribe. She's just giving a step at a different place, which I think is really, really useful for basically everyone.
Yeah.
And in a way that no one else is doing right now. So
Yeah.
big ups to Hannah
Yeah.
for giving us that opportunity.
So on a personal level, you had mentioned how you really, I mean, Hannah obviously rode a bit in Utah, but I can't really like put everything into a timeline. Hannah is riding just really gnarly shit in the Pacific Northwest, which, I mean, it's different, right? It's completely different than what goes on in Utah, like as far as dirt and exposure and all that stuff. But yet she's like progressed herself as to be known as like one of the gnarliest women in freeride, right?
Totally.
You know, you're leaving that terrain and coming to Bellingham. What do you have your eyes set on moving here? Like,
Yeah, so it's a couple things that are very crucial to, I guess, Hannah's building. And Utah, aside from, you know, the desert, like up in Salt Lake where I'm from, we don't have that terrain where I'm from.
yeah,
Like you can go 2 hours to Green River, you can go 4 hours to Virgin. And when you get there, you should probably hope that there's people around to ride with, or, I mean, I have enough of a network now that I can arrange that. But it's not so straightforward to get into, is what I'm saying, even if you're from there.
like to find it, or
Well, to find it, yeah, but then also to like jump into it.
Yeah.
Like before formation existed,
yeah,
like you don't just like
right.
grab your mountain bike and
Hike to the top of
head
the
down
ridge.
to Virgin and hike up and give it a bit of a go.
Well, we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it's not so much. And up in Salt Lake, we've definitely got some cool little sniper stuff here and there, but for the most part, it's just like pretty cross-country-ish flow. Everyone's going to hate me for saying that, but come to the PNW and you'll see why I'm saying that. So my mindset is I want to get there fast, and I want to build on the skills that I don't have. So I'm really fast. I didn't grow up. I have been racing enduro the past handful of years. So I'm good at showing up places and going fast on trails that I don't know. And I'm pretty decent at some tech and very good at flow and jumps, because we have a lot of that in Utah. But I have no exposure to super steep terrain, loose stuff, aside from the desert, which is like, yeah, you just can't go to the desert and hit a bunch of stuff on a Tuesday unless you live down there.
Right.
Like here,
Yeah.
you can go ride some super gnarly shit
Yes.
and then go to work.
Yeah.
And so my mindset is I'm going to come out here and I'm going to ride all the shit with Hannah.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ride all the shit with you and everyone else that's here riding gnarly shit, because everyone here is good because everyone's riding gnarly shit because that's what's here.
I don't ride gnarly shit all the time.
Well, you ride gnarly shit enough to be
Sometimes.
able to ride it.
But
Here's the other thing too. Even non-gnarly shit, like Galbraith.
Yeah, right.
Galbraith is out the back door.
Yeah.
In Utah, we have a trail system of 3 trails, and I've ridden them all. Like my Strava would show you at least like 200 times, and that's like I Strava'd very solidly for a few years, and then there's been another few where I'm not Stravaing ever. So like I'm over it.
Yeah, you don't want Strava here.
No, I don't use Strava anymore. Anyway,
You
though,
get
but like,
shunned out of Bellingham for Straving.
would you?
No, as long as you're not Straving on anything, you shouldn't be
No
Straving.
Stravaing at Glacier.
No, we're gonna cut that word out. I'm gonna beep it.
No Stravaing at. You guys just have a lot more to offer here, and a lot more, even if it's not super gnarly stuff, like access to trails, a varied amount of trails, and a lot of people to ride with easily here. And that's what I'm looking for. More riding, quicker, easier with more people, and then exposure to all of the gnarly stuff too, which is still close.
Yeah.
in a way that it isn't in Utah. And I'm just trying to
The other thing
progress fast.
is, so where you live now, your relation to Virgin from Salt Lake City, your relation to the gnarliest stuff is north, right? Like you can drive 2 hours and you're in Squamish.
Right.
And Squamish has fucked up scary
Yeah.
shit.
I rode there last month and I was like, I don't know how to mountain bike.
Yeah. It's all super gnarly rock slabs, janky as all hell. That you don't like, you were like, that's not rideable. And then a local comes, no knee pads, and just
Totally.
down
I
it,
witnessed that. But it isn't rideable in the sense that it wasn't built to be ridden by mountain bikes.
Yeah.
It was built for like other stuff, like what hikers and dirt bikers going up.
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of the stuff here too was also Moto trails originally. Well, there's a lot of purpose-built mountain bike
trails
shit
now.
nowadays, yes.
Yeah.
But originally, everything, even Galby was all Moto trails, right? So like that have evolved and been taken over by mountain bikers.
Totes.
But yeah, I mean, Bellingham is like steep with loam, with like actually good dirt, right? Where up there it's like steep with rocks and really fucking scary stuff.
Stuff
And then
that'll kill you.
Pemberton is like,
Dun, dun, dun.
Pemberton is probably the scariest place I've ever ridden a mountain bike before.
Really?
Yes.
Still haven't been there yet.
You gotta go. It's like a mix. It's like if you take Squamish, if Squamish and Bellingham had like a baby together.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's like really, really, there's like really fun, steep, loamy trails. But then there's also like, there's one trail called Cream Puff that is like roller coaster rock roll. It's like a pump track of slabs, like rock slabs. It's so fun.
That's sick.
But yeah, there's so much to be had up here, even beyond Bellingham, you know. And living in Bellingham, it's sometimes I feel like I'm like spoiled in a sense, or I act spoiled. Let me correct myself there, because I'll be like, oh, I don't want to ride that trail.
But it's like a really good trail.
I'm so bored of that trail, but it's like one of the greatest. Like
Yeah.
like anyone would kill to ride.
Yeah, you
any
would.
of those trails.
You would hate to live in Salt Lake then.
Because
Any
you
of you
ride
guys
3
would.
trails.
'Cause you ride 3 trails.
I
if you
have
don't wanna
ridden in
drive
Salt
20
Lake
minutes.
before. I rode. Actually, I don't even know the names of the trails. All I remember is you look down on Salt Lake City.
Yeah, you probably rode bobsled.
That was probably, actually, that sounds familiar.
It's probably still my all-time favorite trail just because it's the home trail.
Yeah.
Can't ever talk shit on bobsled.
I want to go to I Street. That's where
My
I want
street's
to go.
sick. I'll be there this weekend,
Nice.
actually.
Dang. We're going to miss you while
Be
you're gone
back.
for a little bit. What time is it?
It is that
Okay,
time.
cool. It's not that late.
We got-
I'm
we
going to
got a
drink
sec.
another beer.
Nice.
I'm going to get rid of this one. Do you want to sell something while I get a beer?
Yeah.
So yeah,
I'd
there
like
you go.
everyone to know
This
about the-
episode is brought to you by...
Kulshan's Apero. For real though, there's 2 things I drink when I come here. Well, 3 now. I just found a new beer when I was at dinner just now that was delicious from Wander. But the Kulshan Apero and the Kulshan Goza, so good. If you have Kulshan where you are, you should get it.
I know.
Because they're great.
I told Emily Malice, she's the marketing person. I think you met her.
I know Emily.
I told her that I was going to promote Kulshan beer. Even though I paid for these, I don't give a shit. They've supported.
They're so good.
They've supported the bike scene here.
I'll be hitting you up, Emily.
Hannah's Deep Purple party that we threw here.
Oh yeah.
I like approached her and I was just like, hey, we want to throw this color launch party, and for Hannah, it's going to benefit Vamos, blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, how much beer do you want? And I was like, oh, I don't know. She's like,
All
how
of
about
it.
5 kegs? And I'm like, oh my God. And then we didn't drink it all. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're very cool. And so, without being paid by them,
I know. One day we will get paid.
Kulshan's the shit.
Yeah, one day we will be paid by them. Also, Paris Gore. We're going to be paid by Paris Gore.
Yeah,
Pick up
Paris
these super
pays.
awesome coasters from parisgore.com.
You have a nice commercial voice. You have a nice radio face as well. I've just been waiting to say that. It was ill-timed.
Oh, nice. Thank you. It's been
I had to try it.
Yeah. I practice in the car when I'm driving. I go, welcome back.
No, when you try, it doesn't work.
Oh, okay.
Just then, though, when you sold Paris's thing, that worked.
Yeah.
That was nice. Anyway.
Cool. What are we gonna? What else should we talk about? There's probably another subject. See, this is where having like
some notes.
Topics.
I don't know. We talked about Hangtime and how cool all that stuff is for all the girls. And
you know what?
biking.
Actually, I know what I want to talk about. Or I'm just going to say this. I just want to say
go.
this. You are one of those people that I feel like when I reached out to you to sponsor you, I was like, oh man, I really think they're super personal. I like their I like your dry sense of humor. I like the way you market yourself. But as soon as I met you like the first time you came here and we met in person, I felt like I had known you for like months.
Do I do
years.
that?
You do.
People say that.
Yeah. Why is that?
I don't know.
You have like an infectious, friendly personality.
I'm pretty personable.
Yeah.
I would say.
Yeah.
If I were to be asked like I just was, where it comes from, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Have you
It's
always
just the
been that way?
I am. Yeah, I think so. I don't even know who you could ask. You'd probably ask my friend Cameron Stout or Katie Bennett. You met Katie.
Yep.
I think that they would say that I have been always this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. It's like, oh yeah, Blake, she's like my best friend. I met her like 3 hours ago.
I don't know. I just really like people, and I like having a good time and being silly. And if people can keep up with that, then they're immediately my friend.
Yeah.
And if they can't, then they probably wouldn't have this opinion.
Do people not like you? Do you get the feeling that people don't like you ever?
I think there are people that don't like the humor, that
Like
just
you have
aren't
too
that
dry
way,
of a
or
sense of
they're
humor.
or they're introverts, or they just don't really like appreciate or understand sarcasm. And then those are people who they're just like probably don't have a great opinion of me.
Have you spent a lot of time with Sky Shillhammer?
Yes,
He has also an incredibly sarcastic
I
personality.
love Sky.
Yeah. He's so
We
funny.
haven't spent enough time together to be good buds yet, but I think we will.
Yeah. It's
Forced
almost
friendship when I
annoying
move
sometimes
here.
because you'll try to be serious with him, even just a little bit, and then he's sarcastic, and you're like, God damn it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be serious with you right now. I'm trying to tell you something.
I think that's something that I'll tout myself in this way. I'm usually pretty good at bouncing back and forth between silly and stupid and sarcastic and serious, and that is something I think that I like about myself.
Yeah.
That I'm able to go deep if it
Calls for it.
calls for it, or if a situation I deem safe enough to do so.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'll be friends with anyone.
Yeah.
Especially people who are like haters or jerkheads or like far right conspiracy theorists.
Yeah.
I'll be your best friend, surface level, because I want to know everything about you, which is probably why people like me, because I'm just interested in
Yeah.
asking people a gajillion questions.
Figuring out what makes those people tick. Getting to the root of their craziness.
I had this thing during quarantine where I got hella into far right news sources. And it wasn't just because I prescribed to it, but I was just like so intrigued in how people become that way.
Mm-hmm.
That I started.
You don't get angry? I feel
don't
like
know.
sometimes when I see really fucked up things like that, I get frustrated and upset. I don't find the humor in it or anything like that. I sort of am like, or I'm not like, why do these people, I just like, oh God,
I tend to not take anything personally.
yeah.
And so everything, even if you're making fun of queer people or trans people specifically, or like trans mountain bikers who are super dope. I just don't take anything personally. I'm like, oh, that's what you think about those people, huh? Even if those people are me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I grew up in the Midwest in a farm town surrounded by a lot of people that have opposing political views. And I'm not like hella liberal. I'm somewhat middle of the road. I'm like more socially liberal.
Sure.
I would say. Like I think everyone should have equal rights and everyone should be given the same kindness, you know?
Sure.
But I do have friends and family who vote in the complete opposite direction of me. And I still have relationships with those people.
Yeah.
I
don't know.
So.
I'm like constantly surrounded by people who
Oh yeah, I'm
think
sure.
things that aren't cool with me, but you just kind of learn to
kill them with kindness, right? You can change their opinion of a certain group or subject by just showing them that,
Yeah,
hey, you know
I think
what?
that's my
Trans people
thing.
aren't scary.
I think that's my thing.
You know?
It's like I'm not here to be some sort of like huge activist or something, but I'm just here to be me. And if you can learn some things that like I represent, then I would love that.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go out there and like make you learn anything.
I
Just
think you are
be my friend.
authentically yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that is infectious. And I think people
Thanks.
appreciate that, you know. But there's a time and a place, I think, for the like beat the fucking walls down kind of mentality.
That
and
comes
voice.
out every now and again.
Yeah.
If you follow me on social, you've seen it.
By the way, follow Blake on social media. Not that there's
You'll see it.
not that there's you have way more followers than Tenet does. So all of your followers, all of my followers are probably already followers of you. So
Maybe.
yeah, but
Follow Tenet.
there you
actually.
go. Boom,
There you go.
boom.
Because
Don't worry,
Tenet
we'll
is
do
sick,
it.
And we're doing some small batch sick shit over here. Okay.
Yeah.
Made in the USA.
There's a lot of fun stuff in the works.
Definitely more coming than you've even seen.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of which, I've sneak peeked it on the social medias, but we're working on a grip, and I want to figure out a colorway for you.
It's gum. There is no other.
You just want
colorway.
gum?
Yeah, that's it.
Pure gum.
Maybe there could be some speckle in it, but it'd have to be light.
Could we do like a gum mix or something? Because I've already got umber, which is kind of like a gum, I guess.
You're gonna have to show me.
I don't know. I don't have anything here. We're still working on
Never run
tooling.
anything but gum. Actually, the first and only mountain bike. Wait, how do I say this? My first mountain bike was a GT iDrive 3.0 cross country bike with 3.5 inches of travel,
Sick.
and it had white grips on it, and those were kind of sick actually. I think they were Odyssey grips.
Don't they just get instantly dirty
Yeah, they weren't white, but they were white
for a minute?
for a while. But they became gum, and then I was like, actually, I'm just going to rock gum grips basically for forever.
Yeah, and the minute you lay your bike down in the Utah dirt, it just turns gum.
Gum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, nice. Well, I mean, we might be able to mix. The only problem with gum is that you can't do a really soft compound.
Really?
Or at least, I don't know, this is what I've been told. It's the type of rubber that's used to make gum is like gum color for some reason is like a different
We should go all
hardness.
into this, not on the podcast.
We can go into it in the podcast sometime too. I think people would probably
Basically,
appreciate that.
Gum can only be hard.
Yes. It's like gum that you like spit out and stick under a table, and then that's the hardness of the gum.
That's pretty stiff.
No, I'm just kidding. It's probably softer than that.
He's just kidding.
But anyways, yeah. I'm really excited for a colorway. What about like a gum colored pedal? Not into that.
No. We're going to have to come up with some good colorway stuff. That's
Yeah.
not Hannah's colorway, because Hannah's colorway is the sickest. So it's going to have to be second sickest to Hannah's.
I know. Her colorway turned out so awesome. It's actually black, the way they make it at the anodizing shop here, or not here in town, I guess it's in Idaho. is they mix black anno with the traditional purple anno.
Oh, it's just right in between.
It's like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. It's really crazy. But I'm giving away a trade secret. Oh shit. No, I might have to go boop again. Like, I'm gonna do a really long boop sound so that we can add it over the top of that. Boop, because I don't think I have that on my computer.
I'm sure you could find that on the internet, Tyler. It's so weird. What is the secret?
No, it's just mixing black and purple
Oh,
to make a really dark purple.
black in any color.
Yeah,
Is that really a secret, though, or is it just kind of common sense, guys?
maybe it's common sense. I don't know. But they had a really hard time because I had anode chips from like a Taiwan supplier, and I sent it to the anodizer, and they sent me back, and it was like bright purple.
I remember you showed it to me.
And I was like, no, way darker, like dark purple.
Yeah.
And then they came back, and it was super sick, and that's what
Nice.
Hannah has. But anyways, I would love to continue on and add another colorway for Blake Hansen. That would be fucking sick.
We're going to do that. It's going to be sick.
Yeah.
And we're going to sell a bunch of them because they're going to be cool.
So, I mean, I don't think a lot of people know this, but Hannah gets a royalty from every sale. So she gets a percentage of the profits. So I'd like to do that to you. I think that is
I
a
love
really
that.
great way to support your athlete. Make a special colorway for them. They get some of the profits from that. And then they're stoked on it. People are stoked to support the athlete. They know that they're directly supporting the athlete.
It's
kind
a
of like
realistic way to do it.
it's like skate culture. In skateboarding, you get a deck. If you get a signature deck and your name's on it with your own custom art and everything, they get a royalty on that sale. And I think that honestly, I think that mountain biking needs more skate kind of mentality.
I've always been saying this. If there's one thing I could leave on the sport before I change roles, I want mountain biking to be more like BMX and snowboarding and
Yes.
all the rest of the sports we love.
Yeah.
I think historically mountain biking has had a lot more, like, what's the wording for people with, sorry guys, just pause. We're going to take a quick pause. There's going to be a cut, and then we're going to come right back where I got my wording the right way. Privileged. Sorry. There's been a lot of privileged people in this sport for a long time, and that has probably limited the sport's scope and diversity of who's involved and who's affecting its culture.
Yeah.
And now that that's changing, I feel like the culture is up for debate.
So how do we accelerate that?
I think more and more people like us being involved in the sport, us being like anyone who's not like the cookie cutter white executive who is trying to make margins happen. And I don't really give a shit about margins. Like whatever my royalty is on the product that we futurely sell, cool. That's great.
Yeah.
I care less about that, and I care much more about how it affects the culture of what's going on and why. And I think that's a lot of Tenet is kind of centered on that to me, which is why the brand has been so interesting and attractive to me to be a part of, because it's not cookie cutter.
Thank you.
And it's not what anyone else is doing. It's small batch. It's cares about the right things, and it's unique and cool as fuck. Okay.
Thanks.
So, so that matters to me, and I want to see people doing cool, different things that aren't like, we know that normal anodization purple will be sold to all the girls in the sport because they love their fucking purple. But like, what if you just did a really sick thing that was not that? What if it was like super metal?
Mm-hmm.
And what if it was dark and it was kind of twisted and it was whatever else you want to say Tenet is? And I just like to see the personality in it, and it's just different than factory.
Yeah. Well, I've really prioritized with the company. I personally, when I formed the company, I didn't want to do what everybody else is doing. You know, like if you're starting something and you're looking at like, okay, who else is out there? What are they all doing? Oh, they're all doing bright blue. bright, like they're doing blue, red.
Everyone
pink,
has the
purple,
exact
like,
same
green.
colorways. It's
Yeah.
like, why?
And the reason they do that, and I think the reason they want to do that is so that, and pardon me, I probably shouldn't be speaking for other brands or whatever, but I would assume that one of the reasons is because that's what they think people want, right? Like matching your stem to your hubs is important to some people, and that might be cool and popular to some people, but I would rather create a line of products that work together, that somebody can go, you know what, I want my bike to look different than everybody else's. I saw that guy ride by and he had brand A with brand B, C, and D, and all the colors matched together. I want my bike to not be that,
Yeah.
you know? And so even if it means that, you know, we don't sell as much stuff, whatever, I'm more proud of like our brand having an identity and being its own separate personality, you know? Yeah. And that's like dark, earthy, you know, like it's cool. That's kind of one of those things. Like if we sit down and look at color chips, which we should do, honestly, you know, you know what Tenet is all about, you know, like you could probably pick through a assortment of color chips and be like, oh yeah, these are like on brand, you know? And I kind of want like that's I think what's important for me personally.
Yeah. No, so. I like it. And I think that with more diverse people being involved in the sport, the culture will start to shift and do different things, like what Tenet is doing as one example.
Yeah.
And hopefully at some point in the future, we'll be able to look at the sport and see more similarities to the other sports that at least some of us are inspired by.
Yeah.
You know, more snowboarders and mountain biking, which is a thing that's happening right now. Way more snowboarders are starting to mountain bike, which is sick because, anyway, I'll get there in a sec. But I think that will start to affect the way mountain biking looks and who's doing it and what they're influenced by and what they're doing to influence the products in the sport itself. So that's cool. Snowboarding or mountain biking used to be like a skier cross sport. You know, like I didn't know any skiers. I don't ski. Didn't really associate with skiers that much, to be honest. Kind of a brat. But when I started mountain biking, I became friends with all kinds of skiers, and I'm like, okay, skiers are sick too. But now snowboarders are mountain biking too, which is also cool because that's like what I was raised on.
Yeah. So here's a question. When we did Hannah's Deep Purple launch, we booked Year of the Cobra.
That was a good one.
And Dryland, which is a Bellingham local.
Also a good one.
Metal band. Should we mix it up next time and book hip hop artists? I don't know if there's any good ones around, but
maybe.
You want more metal.
I'm personally more metal than Hannah is, as we've discussed. So I don't know. I think we might have to stay on brand and go.
Okay.
We can go
but
punk rock,
but I also love hip hop. There's some fucking good hip hop out there,
and
I grew up.
Can be just as
metal,
dark and metal as metal it can
absolutely,
be. Yeah,
for sure. But
I love hip hop.
Like if MF Doom could come back to life and play a show here as a Tenet show, that'd be so sick.
Oh, we could get Jezza back.
Yeah, we could just do we get one of those MF Doom hologram. We get a hologram and MF Doom just like plays a hologram show.
You wouldn't even have to pay them.
I'm just kidding. There's no way we could afford that. After that Deep Purple party, people constantly are telling me, when are you doing the next Tenet party?
I know, and I haven't been back here since then. So when I rolled up, I was like, oh man, that party was so banging.
I know. Did you notice? You probably couldn't tell because it's dark out there, but the blackberry and the
you took them out.
Vines and stuff have taken over again.
Oh, you took them out and then they retook over?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Lou cut so much of it out and it's grown all back.
Those guys are insane here.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I really want to buy this property eventually one day.
I know.
And that's kind of a concern of mine because I don't know what to do about it. I have no idea. If anyone knows how to destroy blackberries forever, tell me. Someone's probably like, just pour gasoline on them.
Uproot them?
What do you grab? It's like,
Yeah.
they're like
You want to
gigantic spikes. The thorns are like this big.
It's like
they're massive.
It's like they're built to not be uprooted. Come on, you don't say.
But what time is it?
It's time to be done.
You want to be done?
We gotta be done.
Okay. All right. Time to go home.
Time to go home, folks.
All right. Well, I don't even have an outro. We didn't even do an intro. Did we do an intro?
You can use the one that I pretended to give you.
Okay.
It's Wednesday, October 5th.
All right. Well, we kind of bumbled our way through there. Got a lot of different topics.
For sure.
Blake, thank you for coming on to the Tenet podcast, first ever episode of Dead Sailor, working title. If you don't like that name, please let me know. Any alternative names, I'm open to everything. Even you can give me ideas.
I like it. Dead Sailor.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. We'll catch you next time.
There you go.